is like a reward.
So I might have just built the best smart home automation ever. So this is a smart pet feeder. And this, well, this isn't pet food.
It's candy.
Some of you might already see where this is going, but I guarantee you it gets even better. This thing works, is pretty dope, even just as a pet feeder. You fill it up with pet food, and then you go into the app, push the button, and then feed your pet. You can set it up on a schedule so it feeds at certain times of the day. Because it connects to your smart home, you can set up some pretty dope automations, like having it not feed automatically when your pet isn't home. And a whole bunch of other cool things, but obviously not what we're using it for. So first up, I set up this command, obviously. I have a sweet tooth. But that was too easy, and I was eating too much chocolate, so I set up the most creative automation I've ever made. So I deleted my voice command, so I can't just have it whenever I want. Instead, I set up an automation that only triggers whenever I complete a workout, so I have to work out and finish it, for only then for it to dispense chocolate. I just used the native Apple Watch Siri shortcut integration. So now, if I want candy, I've got to put in the work. 10 minutes later, we're ready to rock. Let's see if this automation works. All we gotta do, end our workout. Yeah, dude! I am honestly going to be so shredded. Thanks to my stupid little smart home.
Today, I'm going to be teaching you every single thing you need to know about hard drive RAID configurations. If you don't even know what that means, this video is for you, because I'm going to be breaking it down and explaining it all in really simple detail. Buckle up, because you're going to learn a lot in a really short amount of time here. So first off, what even is RAID? RAID is a method of setting up multiple hard drives on your computer. So when you have 2 or more hard drives, your first option is just to plug them in separately and kind of drag and drop files between them and use them separately. What RAID does is RAID allows you to combine 2 or more hard drives so you could use them as one single drive. Now, not only is RAID super useful at home when you have 2, 3, 4 drives and you want to utilize all of their storage together, but RAID is also used extensively at the enterprise level for big data centers, where they're sometimes having hundreds or even thousands of hard drives and combining them all together. Here's how it all works and what the different RAIDs mean. So you plug your drives into your motherboard like you normally would, and then you configure RAID on the software side of things. And there's a few different ways that you can configure RAID, and they're all a balance between 2 things: speed and performance of the drives versus redundancy of the drives. We're going to start by explaining RAID 1, which is the most redundant way to set up a hard drive RAID. So you can set up hard drive RAIDs with as many drives as you want, but we're going to use 2 as it's the minimum you need for most setups. So with RAID 1, all of your additional hard drives are 100% redundant backup of your main drives. So when you're going to write a piece of data, let's say you're writing this piece of data that's XY, what it's going to do is it's going to write an exact copy of it to all of your drives. So no matter what, at all times, both drives are going to be exactly the same. RAID 1 is usually used in situations where one drive might be very prone to failure, or you're dealing with really, really important data that you can't afford to lose. That means no matter what, at all times, you're going to have a solid backup, and if a drive fails, it's not really that big of a deal. But there is a big downside of RAID 1. Let's say both of these hard drives are 500 gigabytes. In theory, I have bought a terabyte's worth of storage here. But the problem is I only get access to 500 gigabytes of it, because whenever I write a file, it's writing the same file across both of the pieces of storage. So in a RAID 1 configuration, you're sacrificing a lot of your potential storage in favor of redundancy. So that's RAID 1. Now let's look at the other side of the spectrum, which is RAID 0, which is the fastest and most efficient form of RAID to set up your drives in. When you set up in RAID 0, what it's going to do is split up the data and write it equally between drives. So if you're, again, writing XY to a drive, instead of splitting it out into a copy, what it's going to do is cut the data in half and write X to one drive and Y to the other drive. This has a few really big benefits. The first one, and this is huge, is it's going to almost double your read and write speeds of the drive. The drives can only go so fast, and if you're uploading, let's say, a 100 megabyte file, it's going to have to take that whole time to upload the entire 100 megabytes. Where if you split it between them, all you're doing is writing a 50 megabyte file consecutively to 2 drives. So you're cutting in half your upload and download speeds. And this compounds as you put multiple drives in the system. If you set up a RAID 0 with 3 drives, for example, it's going to split up the data 3 ways and give you almost 3 times as fast read and write speeds. And the other big benefit is you get the full capacity of your drive. drives. So if you have two 500 gigabyte drives, you're gonna get a full terabytes of capacity to write to. But there is one huge downside of RAID 0, which is redundancy. If either of your drives fail, you lose all of your data. In most cases, it's not salvageable because of how it's split up between the drives. And this becomes more and more risky as you add more and more drives to the RAID 0. If you have 5 drives, the likelihood of one of them failing is pretty high. And if any of those one fails, you lose all of your data. Now, both of those sound like there's pretty significant compromise, because there is. And that's where RAID 5 comes in, which is right in the middle here in the sweet spot. So RAID 5 requires 3 drives minimum, and it's essentially a mix between RAID 0 and RAID 1. The way that it works gets kind of complicated, but I'll explain like the idea behind it. RAID 5 uses something called parity data to effectively allocate 1 drive worth of failure to the RAID. So if you have 3 drives, you're gonna get 2 drives worth of storage and 2 drives worth of speed, and any of the 3 drives can fail, and you'll still be able to repair it and recover all of the data. You can do this with as many drives as you want. You could have 4 drives in a RAID 5, where again, if any drive fails at any time, you'll be able to repair all the data and not have any losses. This is kind of the sweet spot of RAID, because you get the redundancy of a catastrophic failure while still getting the speeds and capacity that you paid for. On top of RAID 5, there's also RAID 6, where you get 2 drives of parity, and it goes on and on. Anyway, that's RAID 101. I hope you guys at least have a baseline understanding of what it's for and what each of the use cases delivers. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. Actually, setting it up is quite a bit of a deeper rabbit hole, but if you guys are interested, I'd be happy to show you. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.